What is good, all of our listeners and viewers? Welcome back to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And I like taking pina coladas and taking long walks in the rain, whatever those lyrics are. We're here with episode 138. We're going to be talking about, have Americans changed their mind about the concept of video games? But first, we've got some segments for you. Yes, we do.
You're so weird.
What? Okay, so I like pina coladas and taking walks in the rain. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking pina
walks in the
rain. No, we're gonna get copyrighted. Okay, so we're back. It's another audio only here on YouTube. So if you're here, thanks for tuning in. We have a great show for you with just me and Liz. So we're gonna be talking about Americans changing their mind about the concept of video games during quarantine. We're gonna be going over a survey that was done by People Magazine, not reported by. We'll get into that. But why don't we get the show started?
Okay.
We got a couple segments before we get to that part. So,
yes.
So we just remind everybody that we're on social media. That's right. You can find us on Twitter at Gaming Groceries, or you can follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
And you can follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word, where you can see some posts that I will put on. I swear I will. But also some questions I will ask you about the discussion. Wow. I will ask you on Twitter, Instagram, and even Facebook about the certain topic we'll be talking about, and I want your input in on it. So follow us on the social medias, and then, hey, join our Discord. I will have a link down below. Join our Discord. You can talk to me and Liz on there. You can get some vibes from some cool people on there, and I also post the social media question on there as well. Check out. We don't have a website anymore, but if you're here. If you're watching, hi, how you doing? Do you like gaming podcasts? That's great. This is the place to be, the Games Groceries channel here on YouTube. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when all these episodes come out. If you enjoy video essays about video games, check out our second channel, eVaults. We just released our second video called What Happened to Stealth, so check that one out. With all that said and done, let's just get into it with our first segment.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we watched in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, or HBO Max. And we like to give you a recommendation or, not a recommendation. We have a 5-point scale here on Games and Groceries. We start at avoid at all costs, pass, enjoyable, solid, and perfect for us. So this week's movie is actually coming to us from Netflix. It was just added to Netflix. I believe it's a Netflix original. I think it was originally supposed to come out in theaters, and I think Netflix picked it up. I didn't research it too much, but don't research it. No, it's I Care a Lot.
Yay.
Wow. Starring Peter Dinklage and other people. So let's just get into our final recommendations of it over a 5-point scale, and then we're going to explain why we gave it that way. So, Liz, why don't you go?
I gave it a solid.
Solid.
But almost the perfect.
I also gave it solid, and this is the first movie in a while that we decided to sleep on because we weren't sure. And in the end, we both gave it solid because I just felt like it didn't really... It didn't really stick to me like a perfect movie does. Yeah,
exactly. It's nothing that I'm just like, oh, I want to watch it again. I'm not gonna go tell a bunch of people like, oh, it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's get into my first note here. Is that the movie first asks you the question, are you actually a moral person or are you trying to gain something? And that's a great question. I thought it would be a lot more philosophical, I guess you could say, and not in a way of very deep and stoic. I thought they would ask the question even deeper than that. But then it goes into kind of an exaggerated point of somebody just trying to gain something and pretending to be moral. And I don't know how I felt about it. There was a lot of different messages and a lot of different things going on at once that I felt like it didn't really focus on one particular thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. It's like they wanted to make they wanted to make you think, but they just didn't quite hit the point.
There's a couple different points that they wanted to make, including morality. Are you actually moral? stepping on people,
Mhm.
feminism. There was a couple other things.
Yeah.
Not anything that was wrong about that.
Mhm.
It was just that, what are you trying to convey here?
Mhm.
And I don't know. I feel like that's why it didn't really stick with me, because there wasn't a clear cut, like, what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
Now the events that take place are actually extremely well put, and they're very well
Yeah.
paced. I think that the movie, and that's my second point, by the way, I think that the movie had a really good pace, and they trimmed a lot. I think they trimmed a lot. There wasn't a lot of things where you're just like, is this over yet? Yada yada.
Mhm.
But I think that this movie actually did a good job in gluing your eyes to the screen and
Mhm.
finding out what's going to happen next. Like, where's this going to take place?
Yeah.
You know, you're not really thinking of where is this going. You're just thinking like, where's this going?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what do you think about that?
No, I completely agree. The with that pace, and there were times where I thought we knew what was going on, and then we didn't. And I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, but again, not in a bad way. What's happening? It's like, all right, what are you doing?
Exactly. There's steps to being
Yeah.
placed, and I think it did a good job into really keeping us on edge.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it wasn't really keep you on your toes. Like, I gotta watch this again. Like, it wasn't thriller. It was just kind of once you know what's gonna happen. I feel that the second watch through of this won't be as impactful.
Yeah.
But
it's not one of those movies where you'll discover more this next time if you watch it again.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd say my final point would be that there is a lesson in the end of, if you step on enough less fortunate people, it will cost you in the end eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of different routes and a lot of different paths this movie took that by the end, I feel like that was the lesson that I took away. But even that, I wasn't really sure what this movie was trying to tell me. So by the end, I was just like, that was a great ending. What are you trying to tell me? Like, what is this about?
Yeah.
And the only reason why I say that is because I don't think that every movie needs to have a deep message behind it.
Yeah.
But when you first ask the question, and with a title called I Care a Lot, and when you're asking the question, like, are you actually moral or are you trying to gain something? Right there, it kind of sets you up to think that, like, it's trying to push you to think differently about something.
Yeah.
And by the end, I didn't really feel that.
No.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts about it?
I did want to say, I was thinking about this last night after we watched it. Honestly, I really love the fact that they didn't make any short jokes
Yes.
for Peter Dinklage, because a lot of times when you put a little person in movies and shows, they want a joke. They're going to use a joke. And there were so many times in this movie where it would have been a good snide comment, because they did a lot of those.
Yes.
And I was waiting for it. And I'm like, they didn't do it. And I really like that.
It's clever writing. It's very clever writing.
I really enjoy it, because to me that shows like they hired Peter Dinklage just because he's a great actor.
Yes.
Not because they wanted a short person in the role. They just wanted Peter Dinklage. And I really like that. Like, they didn't point it out. Not once did they point out that he was small. They didn't make any short jokes. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, they just hired him because he's good. So I was happy with that.
The one last point I will make is that the main characters, or the main people, the main antagonist, like the antagonist was a feminist and in a lesbian relationship. And in my mind, I'm like, are we trying to make these the villains? Like, is this really what we want to do? Like,
really, no one in this movie is a
nobody won.
hero or like a protagonist.
Yeah.
But they did make you root for the team that is typically seen as the bad guys.
That's why it was weird.
Which I kind of like that, because I'm just like, yes, I never get a movie where I get to root for them.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just very weird the way they put him. But like you said, there's no clear protagonist, and there is no protagonist. There is no antagonist. It's just kind of, you have to watch it.
It's just someone who's more of an antagonist.
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend this. I don't think it's perfect.
No.
There's definitely flaws to it. It doesn't really stick with me. But at the same time, solid movie, much more than just enjoyable. It's a really well-made movie. And again, it's called I Care a Lot. You can find it on Netflix. Check it out for yourself. I highly recommend it. But, set your expectations the way they are and go into it and just see what you get from it.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about some video games now. What do you think?
Okay.
Awesome. So let's just do it with our second segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week, and we like to rank it 3, 2, 1, just to give you a condensed version of, hey, what's going on in the gaming industry? Lizzie, what's going on?
Things.
You're right about that. There's something going on, though, in our soon-to-be new state.
Yeah.
Wow. But they failed.
That's okay.
Yeah. So our first piece of gaming news actually comes from North Dakota.
Woohoo.
Wow. North Dakota actually put in a legislation where they tried to pass some laws to actually protect tech companies located in North Dakota. So basically what they tried to do, and they failed, by the way.
Yeah.
This is all put out on Sunday, and on Tuesday of last week, the vote actually dropped. But basically, the Coalition of App Fairness tried to put out to legislators in North Dakota Capitol to say, hey, Apple and Google are taking a 30% cut from developers, and we want to make sure that anybody that's in North Dakota does not have to do that.
Yeah.
They're the first ones they're not the first ones to put it out there, but they want to be the first ones to pass it and get it through so that other states can follow, saying that if North Dakota can do it, then we can do it, because New York is trying to do it. I believe Florida and Georgia are trying to do this. Now, the reason why it failed is because North Dakota, being very conservative and therefore being a free market state, they said that, the free market is willing to do it. And with the free market, you got to pay fees, blah, blah, blah. So I want to read this quote before I talk any more about this. So this is from the article that is linked down below. And it's talking about how this quote, it's talking about if it did pass, what would have happened. So this is coming from, again, article linked down below. Although the bill would only have dictated how companies like Apple operate within the state of North Dakota, the bill's broad language may have forced Apple to make systematic changes of its businesses nationwide. The legislation's success could have also inspired other states to follow suit, with similar attempts to regulate App Store's relationships with developers, although that appears already underway despite Senate Bill 2333's failure. So they're already being inspired by this. So what they're trying to say is that with this, North Dakota could have been free from 30%, and even more so, there's also some talks. When this first came out, a lot of different tech companies said, hey, if this passes, we're going to open up offices in North Dakota. Because to avoid this 30% fee. 30% is a lot of cuts. So let's say, you develop an app, and you sell, $100 worth of your app. Oh, $30 is gone. Just because it's on Apple. That's the only place you can put on it. So with this change, they tried to make it fair, but, again, they didn't get that. So what do you think?
I think it would have been good for North Dakota. Not only would it, again, be a leader, but also you'd probably get a lot more people moving to North Dakota, like you said. It would grow their market. But as someone who's moving there, because there's no one living there, I'm kind of happy.
It would have started to make North Dakota become the next San Francisco.
Exactly.
Like a very big tech
I'd rather
corporation.
It start somewhere else.
Exactly. So, I think it should happen.
Oh, yeah. I think it should happen. I think eventually it should make its way to every state.
Yeah.
But starting in North Dakota probably wasn't the best option. You need to start in a more open type of state. Yeah,
it lost by a good margin, mostly because it's Republican out there. And this was happening in Bismarck. This wasn't happening in Fargo. This is happening in Bismarck, North Dakota. So, state capital, by the way. So they tried their best. And in fact, one of the legislators that was representing, I believe they were representing the coalition for app fairness. They were hired by Epic Games.
Wow.
And if you don't know what the Coalition for App Fairness is, it's a massive group with 50 plus members, Epic being one of them. And they're trying to get this way where they can actually develop on their apps. And okay, I should also explain this. Also, sorry, tired from work. Sue me. But don't sue me. But why this is trying to make it happen, not just taking a 30% cut, but also using outside payments to buy your app on the Google and Apple store, using outside payments, not just Google and Apple's ways of purchasing an app. Google already offers this. Apple does not. So I don't know. There's a lot to unpack from this, and this is just kind of like a brief summary of what's happening. I'm not doing a great job of it, but write your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, write your thoughts. What do you think? Do you have any more insight? Let's discuss it more. And hey, join the Discord so that we can talk about this some more. But let's just move on to our number 2 gaming news, which is something a lot more interesting, a lot less governmental, because your boy is not very governmental, but it had to do with North Dakota. So I was very.
So we were interested in it.
I was very interested in it. So the next piece of gaming news is actually about Nintendo. And Nintendo is actually trying to put out this new console.
Ooh.
Not very soon, though.
Oh.
So apparently Nintendo is already underway in making the successor for the Switch.
Wow.
Yeah. So while everybody is looking for the Switch Pro, what's going to be next for the Switch? Is it going to be a Switch Lite again? Is it going to be a massive 8K Switch?
They're kind of like, forget about that thing.
Yeah, really. They're just saying that we're working nonstop and researching new technology to bring you a new experience into a console. So Furukawa, who is the CEO of Nintendo, CEO? Yeah? Okay, maybe. I don't know. You can fight me on Twitter for that. Furukawa and the company are consistently and constantly researching this new technology. And that's what they say in this article, is that like we're working nonstop and it's going to take years and years and years, and that takes focus. And it doesn't sound like they're really focusing on the Switch Pro. It sounds like they're focusing on the Switch's successor.
Yeah.
So I want to read this quote from the article that, again, link down below. In order to create a single piece of hardware, we have to do a lot of preparation several years in advance. So we are working without stopping. In the end, the deciding factor in whether or not to commercialize a product is whether it can create a new experience. So what he's saying is that they're not just going to give you the Switch 2.
Yeah.
And this actually goes in line with Nintendo put out a report, I want to say like a year or two ago, that they wanted to develop a new controller. Not even just try to do a new system, but they want to reinvent the controller, which they once have before. Like they're really good at innovating controllers. Whether the Nintendo 64 controller was a good innovation, that's up for argument.
I'll never understand that one.
The GameCube controller, that's a banger.
Yeah, I like that one.
But they're trying to redo the way the controller is. And there's a lot of things that they did differently, including the D-pad. They were the inventors of the D-pad. So thank God for Nintendo. But so this kind of goes in line with those reports. And like I said, the only way they're going to commercialize this new Switch successor is if it gives you a new experience.
Yeah. So they're just not going to just put something out because, well, we have it. Here it is. They want it to be amazing.
So cloud gaming confirmed? It's a cloud gaming console?
That's not a new idea, though.
Confirmed?
It's not a new idea.
It's not new? What you're saying is not new.
No, it's new.
I will sue you.
But it's not a new idea.
Well, you're not a new idea.
What?
Your face.
What?
Anyways, but yeah, so I'm very excited about this. I can't even imagine what the new experience could, because like you said, I can joke all day long about, it's going to be cloud gaming.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's not a new idea. Stadia and Luna exists.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an xCloud. So it's not like they're going to do that.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do?
Our feeble minds can't comprehend what they can do.
I know. So they're researching. They said nonstop. So I'm very excited about this. I have no idea what they're going to do. I'm actually pretty excited about it. So, I haven't turned on the Switch in a while.
Yeah, me neither.
I need to play more Switch games.
Same.
I'll play more Switch games. It's just that Nintendo games never go on sale. I should play Mario Rabbids. I think I would like that game. Yeah, that's always on sale, so I'll go do that.
There you go.
So, I gotta get something. I gotta get something that's on sale. Anyways, okay, number one gaming news. It's about an indie game. It's called Valheim. Woo!
Yay!
So Valheim recently made some huge marks by selling. Guess how many they sold, Lizzie, in the first 2 weeks in some?
10.
No. They sold 3 million copies.
Dang.
This is it's an indie game. It is a Viking Norse survival game that's 1 gigabyte in size. 5 people made this game in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
Sold 3 million copies in its first 2 weeks and a couple days.
Wow.
And that's huge news
Yeah.
for indie developers. Now, I want to go over this quote before I go over anything else of this. I would like to read this quote first. Never mind. Wrong quote, because that's the quote from the CEO, but that's about his feelings. But I'll read it anyway, because I already promised you, the listener. So this is actually coming from Iron Gate CEO Richard Svensson. Did I say it right? Svensson? Yeah, sure.
That's what it looks like.
We were always working with the assumption that the early access launch will be somewhat successful, so I guess it does not really change our plans that much, except that maybe we can afford a bigger office now. And the article says perhaps they can build an entire longhouse, eh? That's great. So I like his attitude so far, that he sold 3 million copies of this, and this is early access game, early access, not even a full launch. And he goes and says like, it doesn't really change our plans much. I thought it was pretty good, maybe bigger office.
Yeah.
So what are these stats really saying? Is that in this 3 million copies that they sold, they managed to rake up 60,000 user reviews.
Wow.
So that's a pretty penny for how many reviews you want to get. And that's a lot of trustworthy reviews. Whether it be good or bad, you have 60,000 people telling you what they think about the game.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And what's more interesting, and I think this is what the sales were. On Wednesday of last week, Twitch views for Valheim reached 147,000 views.
Wow.
On Wednesday, watching someone play Valheim.
Yeah.
And I really do think, and this is my final point on this, I really do think Twitch has a big part in how games succeed nowadays.
Yeah.
It used to be Let's Plays on YouTube.
Yeah.
I really do think that. A lot of games sold me because of Let's Plays.
Same.
Like Life is Strange. You watched the Let's Play of it first, and now you wanted to buy it. Now, Let's Plays are really going over to Twitch. And what is a Let's Play? A Let's Play, allows you to see actual gameplay, not just like a corporate gameplay. It's like,
Not
this is
something that they just want you to see.
Yeah, this is a real person.
Yeah.
Just playing the game.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
Start to finish, you get to see it. Like, this is interesting. That's how Among Us succeeded so much.
Yeah.
That's how Valheim is succeeding, because Twitch views. So I do think that Twitch has a lot to do with indie games going, massive.
Yeah.
And like I said, it doesn't change its plans too much, except, maybe they can build a longhouse now for their offices. But what do you think about all this?
No, I mean, I think it's great. I think it'll definitely give them something to work with for the official release.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's $20, $20 a copy, 3 million, and they get to keep all the pennies, right? Yeah. They don't.
So I mean,
Yeah.
it's a decent amount. They could do a little bit with that.
Yeah, like really. Even if they only got $1 per sale, that's $3 million of funding going to them.
Yeah.
And they're getting way more than $1.
If the official release isn't like perfect,
yeah,
I think people are going to be real disappointed.
And that's the thing. They can, if they don't build more offices, at least they can hire more people.
Exactly. So they can have more hands on.
Exactly. So I don't think it will be perfect, but I think it will be pretty epic.
Yeah.
Now, have I played Valheim? No.
No.
Only because I don't really like survival games. My one friend is trying to get me to play Grounded more. I like it. I don't like survival games, and that's all. Do you like Vikings? Yes, I very much like Vikings.
Yeah.
I don't like survival games. It's just not my style. But good for them. Really happy for them. So, that's the top 3 gaming news for you, though. So write your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, what do you think about all this with the lobbyists over in North Dakota trying to break suit of the 30% cut from Apple and Google? What do you think about that? Write your thoughts in the comments down below. Nintendo making the successor for the Switch. What do you think it's going to be? I want to hear your thoughts and all of your predictions. Write your thoughts in the comments down below. And Valheim selling 3 million copies. Wow. Have you played Valheim? Are you loving it? Do you have a wish list of what's going to change? Write your thoughts in the comments down below and make fun of me for not playing it yet. So, with all that said and done, let's move on to our big topic, which is about this article about a survey that was actually released late January, so we're a little late to the game here. But I wanted to discuss it a little bit because it points out some interesting things. So why don't we go into it with our final topic or final thing? Just move on to
our final segment.
Yeah.
Coffee time.
Every single week here on the Games Groceries podcast, we like to have a discussion about the video game industry, whether it be about female gamers or game preservation. We'd like to sit down and have a discussion for the next half hour and just, have a nice little coffee talk. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Cool. So we're here. We're looking at the article over on People Magazine. It's just the article that I popped up. So find your own. But I will link this article in the description, whether you're listening on audio or on audio on YouTube. Check it out. Read it with us, if you will.
Yeah.
So this is a survey that was conducted to get people's perspectives about video games during quarantine. A lot of people changed their mind about this, and a lot of people might think Americans are changing their mind about video games. Wow. Couple things to put into your head real quick. A couple disclaimers. All of this with a grain of salt. Couple reasons why. Number one, this is a survey that was conducted by one poll on behalf of World of Warships by Wargaming.
Yeah.
That is a mobile game that you probably heard of. If you haven't Googled World of Warships, they advertise on YouTube. They're not as bad as what's that one mobile game that's always on YouTube? Shadow Legends Realms. I have
no idea.
Shadow Legends, whatever. But that one, and then there's World of Warships. So keep that in one mind. So it's sponsored by a mobile game.
Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind is that the study asked, and this is from the second paragraph here, the study asked 2,000 Americans how they've been coping with quarantine.
Yeah.
2,000. Now, I want to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
This survey is only conducted with 2,000 participants. So not even close to a great.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So like our number one gaming news, Valheim got 60,000 reviews.
Yeah.
60,000. This has 2,000.
2,000 is less than the amount of residents in Fargo.
Yes. So keep that in mind. This is pretty much a mega church.
Yeah.
That's
Could
put
be
in.
less than a mega church.
So I kind of want to go through a little bit of this article and just discuss what they said. So again, keep this in mind. A little grain of salt, but it still makes some interesting points.
Yeah.
So a little bit interesting points here. So the study asked 2,000 Americans how they've been coping with quarantine and found 65% struggled to find a quarantine hobby that they could stick with at first. 65%. So a lot of people were just kind of searching in quarantine. They were just looking for something to do, just a little hobby just to get them right. And they couldn't find anything because, one, I think they couldn't stick to it because everybody's terrified. This isn't like a New Year's resolution where everybody's like, oh yeah, we're all vibing, we're all chill. This is great. No, you're kind of scared if you're never gonna have a job again.
Yeah.
So I think that 65% couldn't find something they could stick with. there's a lot more to it than like, don't like this.
Yeah.
I think they're just looking in the mirror and saying, don't like any of this. What do you think about that?
No, I mean, I definitely know that a lot of people did pick up hobbies in quarantine, especially the ones that weren't working, the ones that were just staying home and doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that people couldn't stick with it because, like you said, like especially in the beginning, no one knew what was happening, what was going on. You didn't want to leave your house, and a lot of hobbies require supplies that you have to leave your house to go get.
Exactly, and keep that in mind. I actually have a note up my head.
You want me to remember something?
Yeah. What you said about nobody wanted to go out and get supplies.
Yeah.
Interesting. But like even Amazon, there's Amazon, but like some of the hobbies are kind of niche. They kind of have to go to a certain store about.
Yeah.
Even I would even say skateboarding. I try to look up skateboarding equipment, just curiosity on Amazon.
Oof.
Not too much quality there. There's also shred quarters. But that's one thing that not a lot of people know about. Hey, go away, thing. Go away. Anyways, so it does say the respondents, once they did find a hobby, 68% said they didn't know how they could live without it.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? But the interesting part is, conducted by one poll on behalf of World of Warships, a survey found that 71% of respondents started playing video games more often during quarantine than they could before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. One, because 71% of 2,000 people.
Yeah.
Again, I did try lightly to research, like, okay, who were the 2,000? Because we're going to...
Exactly. I was just thinking, like, how old were they?
Yeah.
What were their genders? What did they do for a living before that?
Like, what were their views of video games before?
What was their schedule like before that?
Which we're going to get into social media answers, which the reason why I asked you on social media for this very point is just like, were they even interested in video games before this? So I don't really know. Again, I only lightly researched this poll, so I couldn't really find an answer on that.
Yeah.
But it's at 71% of respondents started playing video games. And I think there's a good reason why. And we're going to get into, the nitty gritty of this article. But I think what's cool about this is like you said, you don't have to go out for supplies because once you have the console, there's a digital marketplace.
Yeah.
So once you get, let's say, I don't know, an Xbox, what?
Or a PlayStation.
Hey.
Or a Switch, which was the most popular.
It was. And actually, yes, we did report on that the Nintendo Switch, which is a lot more family friendly. The Switch was the most popular console to come out in 2020. It was
Animal Crossing came out right as everyone was going into quarantine.
Yes. And it actually beats the PlayStation 5. And I think it beat the PlayStation 4 in terms of sales.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more easier to pick up. It's
exactly.
It's a portable console.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is there's a digital marketplace.
Yeah.
And I think a lot more people are downloading games.
Yeah.
And so if you need a new game to play, it's right there for you. You don't have to go out to GameStop. You don't have to go out to Best Buy. You don't have to go out anywhere. You don't even have to go to Amazon. You don't have to wait for delivery. It's right there. It's in consumption.
Yeah.
Now, what is the most interesting from this? 71% started playing video games. What's most interesting is that, and to escape the stress of quarantine, I'm reading directly from the article here, and to escape the stress of quarantine and COVID-19, 63% of those surveyed are playing more immersive role-playing video games than ever before. Immersive role-playing games, which I find to be not surprising.
Yeah.
Because two reasons. One, like they said, this one word right here, immersive.
Yeah. Which means you are not currently in this trash fire 2020.
Because role-playing games allow you to be you in a different world.
Yeah.
And I talked about this in the first Evolved video where adventure games allow you to take on the role of a already set character.
Yeah.
Whereas role-playing games, you are the character.
Yeah.
So that's great. So 63% of those played more immersive role-playing games. And that's the reason number one, immersive. Number two, they usually they take the longest.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why I don't play as many role-playing games as I used to before, I don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time. In fact, on my days off, I usually try to find the shortest game in my backlog
Yeah.
because I want to experience more games on my days
Yeah.
off. So that's what I usually do. But again, I've played well, that's more of an adventure game, but Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really played a good role-playing game in a good while. I need to get on that. But or even a JRPG. Who knows? But the thing is, I don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the difference between me and those conducting the survey, me and you both,
Yeah.
we both worked during quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can discuss it, but like you were just saying, like, we didn't have that experience.
Yeah. I remember when everyone was in quarantine, like no one was leaving their house. I was like, I mean, I'm very glad I had a job, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't get to fully experience this time because I kept my job. I was able to still travel to work, and
We're not complaining about that, by the way.
yeah, I'm not complaining at all. But at the same time, I was like, I'm not experiencing that, like being with you 24/7, you know, for months on a time. I wasn't experiencing not knowing what to do with all my time or anything like that. I was going to work every single day.
Yeah.
And so we didn't need to think of hobbies or things to do or anything like that because we were going to work every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we didn't experience that.
Exactly. So I didn't really play more immersive games, but it seems like the 71% who were playing video games, they weren't picking up, you know, old, good, you know, short games. They were picking up intense, immersive role-playing games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what those games were. I don't think the report actually says that. Who knows if it was Octopath Traveler or if it was Mario RPG. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what those role-playing games were, but the fact that they said immersive role-playing, it could have been Raid Shadow Legends. That's it.
There you go.
It could have been Raid Shadow Legends. That's an immersive RPG. Or even World of Warships. Who knows? But now here's an interesting thing. There's last two things I want to go into before we get into social media answers.
Mm-hmm.
Just over a third of respondents are also turning to nostalgia to combat their stress. 67% of respondents said they've been able to reconnect to their younger self by playing video games during quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
Now that tells me that they didn't really experience games before.
Yeah.
At least currently. They were just kind of like passive gamers.
Oh, okay, I understand what you're saying now. Yeah.
They were once gamers before.
Yeah, they played when they were younger and they gave it up when they grew up.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I think during this whole quarantine, this whole pandemic, as bad as it was, I am also saying that it was a terrible time.
Mm-hmm.
Awful. A lot of deaths. We're not trying to make lesser of that, but it gave a lot of people perspective of what did you do with your life?
Yeah. What's important?
Mm-hmm.
Now that you don't have work, what's important to you?
And so when they said 67% connected with their younger self by playing video games,
Yeah.
and that tells me that they had to take a look at themselves and saying that, like, I don't know why I gave this up.
Yeah.
You know, they start to open up and just say, this is not what I wanted my life to be.
Mm-hmm.
Not in terms of COVID, but in terms
I don't
of
think anyone wanted that.
But pre-COVID,
Yeah.
they didn't want their lives to be like this. They just kind of grew up and just, well, quote unquote, grew up.
Yeah.
You know, quote unquote, grew up and they got a quote unquote real job where they have to wear a suit and they start to take perspective. And I think by playing video games, they had this kind of realization. All 2,000 participants, they had this kind of realization to say, yeah, I don't know what I was doing before.
Yeah.
So by reconnecting to the younger selves, I think they're starting to reestablish their priorities in life.
Yeah. And I mean, I can definitely say that I feel like if we were quarantined and we were stuck not working for months, there would have been many occasions where we would have been like, let's play N64, let's play GameCube. Like, we definitely would have broken out our old systems.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just to have comfort of the past.
Yeah.
But I think, it's starting to reestablish yourself.
Yeah.
So those are the two things before we want to get into social media answers. Did I say two things? I think I did.
You said two things, but I think you only did one thing.
Yeah. So I want to save this part for after social media answers, though.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I will talk about that after. They're all also at the end. Also at the very end. Yeah, right here. I'll just say this before we get to social media answers. Here's the second thing. As respondents are stuck inside thanks to quarantine, they admitted playing video games in unusual places, including the toilets. Nobody plays video games on the toilets. What?
Never.
I love how that article, it kind of closes everything out.
That's the end of the article. I'm like, okay.
They admitted to playing video games on the toilet. I don't think that's an
Also, why would you say that when you're being interviewed about this?
I don't know. I guess I don't care.
Clearly.
Yeah. But I just thought that was a stupid point that they made. It's like, oh, isn't that weird and kooky? And it's like, yeah, none of us have ever done that. So I want to jump into social media answers. I actually asked you on all the social medias. I asked you the question: How has your relationship changed with video games changed in quarantine? So I conducted this survey, and I got all but the 3 answers here. You are writing upside down, Missy.
Is it backwards?
It's very backwards.
Whatever, I'll get it.
You'll get it. My God. You're trying to write down a
twos
timestamp.
Twos are backwards.
Oh, how did you do that? Okay. My goodness. What is wrong?
I got the 1 right.
Anyways. So I'm going to read from our Instagram answer. I only got 3 answers here. I know, a whole big correspondence of participants.
Yeah.
But really, our listeners are gamers.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to talk about this, is that has your relationship with video games changed? Because you're already a gamer.
Yeah.
So old man dancing to music and more, emo music. Okay. Because in Instagram, your whole name is just one word. So old man dancing to emo music and more, who I don't know who that is. I don't know who that guy is. I unliked him. Said nothing has... It's twofer, by the way. Nothing has really changed. I usually stay home anyway. What do you think about that?
Then nothing's changed?
Nothing's changed.
I mean, for a gamer, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you were already gaming, the most I would say is that if you were in quarantine, you just played more than usual.
Exactly. Yeah, your relationship really hasn't changed. Is that I like what he said in the last statement. I stay home anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're in quarantine, you're kind of just doing what you're already doing.
Exactly.
So that's why I actually asked the question to gamers, because I didn't know who they surveyed in this, what kind of people in that 2000. But if they quoted gamers, I don't think any of them would have said that only 71% started to pick up video games.
Yeah.
I think it would have been closer to 90%.
Yeah.
If not 100. But that's why I wanted to know, what's the deal? So I do have 2 other social media answers here, both from Discord. Join the Discord. We have Absolute Prodigy. We have Commander Nikki. We have GameSimp, who was our last guest. So jump into Discord, everybody.
Yeah.
So how has your relationship with video games changed in quarantine? Absolute Prodigy has this to say: Pokemon. That's it. But really, he says, I've actually punched a bit into my backlog. I'm one of the fortunate people who could work from home, so I didn't feel overwhelmed with my game backlog. So again, he also worked during the quarantine.
Yeah.
He was working from home. But, all it really did was change your relationship to the backlog. And it gave you time to go into that.
Yeah.
Did you jump into your backlog at all? No.
No.
Because we were working.
Well, we were working, but also for me, when I'm stressed or things like that are happening, I go more towards movies and TV. Like I'm a binger. Like I'll binge watch TV series. So I did more of that.
Mm-hmm.
My comfort does not lie in video games. It lies in TV shows. So I did more of that.
It's funny because the first thing in this year, by the way, in the How to Chip Away at a Backlog episode that we did, we got a YouTube comment saying that we're not anything, we should just give up. So thank you if you're listening to this. We did give up on video. But yeah, in the episode where we talked about chipping away at your backlog, I had this whole plan of putting away my backlog. This is my I have 20 games I'm going to get rid of in terms of backlog.
Yeah.
Get rid of. In the year 2020, March happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't play new games. I want to be comforted.
Exactly.
And I couldn't do it. I played from March to April. I played mostly Forza Horizon games and NBA 2K. Those are my comfort games. Those are just like my junk food games that I just went into. And it didn't. My relationship with video games, I think, changed from, going into and achieving something to just finding comfort in.
Exactly.
And not to say that like I only found my comfort with video games, but it changed in the way of how I played the video games.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I feel like maybe if we were stuck at home, like we weren't working, maybe we would have gone more into the backlog because we would have all that time to kill. But since we were still working, but still also stressed from what was going on, we just wanted to feel comfort. We wanted to feel safe.
Yes.
And that's why I think, because I read a comment article or something last week where it said people with anxiety tend to rewatch the same shows and movies because you know what's going to happen.
Yes.
And I think that's why, like, I rewatch a lot of shows. So I did that a lot this year. I rewatched old shows from when I was younger. And so, yeah.
Can I remind you something?
Sure.
Before I forget, live on this podcast.
Okay.
I thought she looked familiar, but I saw a meme of Parks and Rec. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't I think of this? Agnes from WandaVision. Agnes from WandaVision is actually the evil politician from Parks and Rec that went against. Yeah.
I knew her from a bunch of stuff. She's been in a ton
She
of
looked
things.
familiar, and I was like, where? And then I saw a meme of Parks and Rec, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's her.
I didn't recognize her from that, but I recognized her because I know she's in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize. I wasn't like, oh, she was in something. I knew that she was in things.
But before I go into the next social media answer, get on Disney Plus and watch WandaVision. It's fantastic.
It's so good.
Muppet Show's on it.
Yes.
As you're listening to this episode right now, I'm watching.
Adam is binge watching the Muppets.
I'm binge watching Muppet Show.
He's doing nothing but watching Muppets.
So take comfort in that, people, as you're listening. So finally on Discord, we have @Commander Nikki, who says, well, I guess not it's just Commander Nikki on Discord. Fortunately, I was employed, still am, all through lockdown. So the time I got to spend on games didn't change compared to before Corona. She said, he, BC, before Corona. You got a joy out of that one.
I like that one. Good job.
But some games did hit differently. Vampire, The Last of Us, and The Last of Us 2, like they changed their whole Outbreak Day to Last of Us Day, because they can't really call it Outbreak Day during the pandemic. It's just Last of Us Day.
Yeah.
And with Vampire, I picked probably the weirdest time to play it for the first time. I can imagine it would feel different, BC, she put it. So if you didn't play Vampire, Vampire has a lot to do with the outbreak. There's a disease going around, so you're a doctor vampire going around. And, of course, The Last of Us, there's an outbreak there. And, some games do feel a little bit different. Yeah. Which is why I think they wanted to delay, or at least rumors had it be, they wanted to delay Last of Us 2 the way it was because it was coming around in 2020.
Yeah, I think forever anyone, alive and able to remember 2020 are going to think of those shows and movies a little bit different now.
I think so.
Even last night, we were watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and they mentioned how 2017 is like
Oh.
the worst. They're like, and 2017 does again. I'm like, wait 3 more years.
You don't even. Yeah, they said like, oh, here's another hit from 2017. I'm like, oh, you don't even know, man.
You don't even know the half of it. 2017 is nothing.
So that's the social media answers. And like I said, I think from gamers, nothing really changed other than like you got to play your favorite games. And I think the way you play video games changed slightly.
Yeah.
And that's why this article is a little bit interesting, because I think it goes into people who didn't really think of video games as something as an option or something helpful to them, which is going to my closing thoughts here. Closing thoughts, I actually want to go into the last pieces of this article. So the last pieces actually goes into reconnection. So I want to close this out by reading a couple statistics here. Again, 2,000 Americans, 71% that said they went back into video games. And I think the beautiful part about this is that I think Americans are starting to change their mind because, of course, Americans go, video games are violent. They're nothing but goopily goop. They do nothing good for you.
Yeah.
So let me just rattle off some stats here from this survey. 66% of respondents have reconnected with old friends during this time with gaming. 66% went back to old friends because of video games. 63% also said they don't think they would be in touch with their friends as much without video games.
Yeah.
So we have 66% old friends that they haven't talked to in a long time.
Yeah.
63% said they probably wouldn't have connected with friends.
Yeah.
Here's a really interesting one. The top people respondents are playing video games on a regular basis. However, are their own children.
Yeah.
62% said it brought them closer to their children than ever before.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of parents, when I did youth ministry, they connected with their kids with games. All they did was just play video games with their kids.
Yeah.
And in fact, the friend that's playing Grounded with me, he's playing Grounded with his kid.
Yeah.
And that's how they connect and how they bond. I'm going to go off some other stats here. Burp gang. 34% of those polled are also connecting with their siblings through video games. And 30% have played with old college friends. Respondents working from home also admitted that playing video games during their workday average 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So these last stats here is what I want to close out with. Is that I think Americans are starting to see that video games are more than just a little bit of a hobby or
a waste of time.
But it's what video games are meant to do: connect people, also take your money.
Well,
But it's meant to connect you with others.
Yeah.
It's meant to actually go into it with a friend and actually experience either a new story or a new map in a new multiplayer mode, or this mission that you have to go into together. A lot like Division, or like I like to play with my buddy. I like to play Black Ops Cold War. If you have Black Ops Cold War and you have not played Prop Hunt, it's so fantastic. And I play it all the time with my buddy from work.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to keep up with people, because again, 63% said they don't think they will be in touch with their friends as much without video games.
Yeah, because if it's someone that you don't talk to a lot, randomly texting them, it's like, oh, hey, how are you doing? And you have the typical, and then nothing. You're not going to call them randomly. That's awkward.
Exactly.
Whereas when you're playing a game together, it gives you something to talk about, gives you something to do, and it just helps, guide a conversation.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be a console game.
Yeah.
Among Us is a huge one.
Yeah.
Among Us just skyrocketed. There was Among Us. There was Fall Guys. There's now Valheim. You can connect with Valheim, by yourself, but still. But I think Among Us was a huge one. And even Animal Crossing, going to each other's islands because the Switch was the biggest seller.
Yeah.
And again, I think that people stuck with video games during quarantine because they saw the power of connection. They can actually not just, like you said, just call their buddies and be like, oh, hey, how you doing? Doing good.
Yeah.
Still in quarantine.
Yeah.
But with this, it's like, hey, man, let's hop into Black Ops. Let's play some Prop Hunt and just have the time of your life.
Yeah.
Not talk about how you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Because how's everybody doing during quarantine?
Everyone is stressed.
Everyone's stressed, depressed. I don't know when this is going to end. If you ask, how are you doing? Oh, just dying on the inside. But when you're playing a video game,
Yeah.
you're not asking how you're doing. You're asking yourself, why am I a box in Call of Duty? That's your question.
Yeah.
But or even like with Among Us, like you seem a little suspicious. I'm going to eject you from the ship. But I think it's just a connection that's really making people stick to video games in this. And again, I know I said it before, but just rallying off these stats one more time. 66% connected with old friends. 63% said they wouldn't be in touch with their friends without video games. 62% said it brought them closer to their children than ever before. And 34% connecting with their siblings. 30% connecting with their old college friends. Connections, relationships. Americans are starting to change their perspective towards games because of the connections they're making now.
Yep.
And I think gamers didn't really big boy gamers, like the ones we surveyed
Yeah.
in our question, they don't really change because they knew the power of video games. But people who didn't know anything about it before quarantine, they're starting to understand, like, this is why people are sticking with it. Also, skateboarding. Skateboarding brings community, but that's also a no-no because you have to touch people.
Yeah.
Yeah, in skateboarding, you have to. No, that's not a thing.
Wait, what? No.
There you go. No, you're just like, yeah, you do have to touch people. Any other final thoughts?
No, I mean, I think we kind of touched on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm good.
No other thoughts?
No,
No.
I'm good.
Well, if you're watching us on YouTube and if you have any further thoughts, write your thoughts in the comments down below. I want to hear from you. Have you connected with old friends with video games? Did your relationships change because of video games? Have you played prop hunt on Call of Duty Black Ops? Cold War, I mean. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I don't think I said Cold War this entire time.
I think you said it the first time.
Oh, good. Thank you. But have you played that mode? It's crazy. If you haven't yet, it's a lot like Prey's multiplayer. I can't remember what it was called. Anyways, but yeah. So, what are your thoughts about this article? Read the article. Write your thoughts down in the comments down below. I'm excited to hear from you. As I'm excited every time I read your comments, especially if you tell me to give up, because I most certainly will. Wow. No giving up. No quits.
Yeah.
I think that does it for the show.
Yeah, I think so.
So, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Again, this is just me and Liz just talking about an article here, but hopefully we'll have a guest for next week. But just this week, it wasn't really the best mental week for us.
Yeah.
If you want to know more, check out our other episode that's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's the Biz? It comes out every Tuesday. So if you want more podcast content from us, check out What's the Biz. You can find it on your favorite podcast platforms, except for YouTube. And with all that said and done, thanks again for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to be safe out there, everybody. Please wear your mask. Wear your mask for goodness sake. And stay awesome, stay driven, and keep gaming.
Bye.